Today, we're going to install the VOVO VB 6000 SE Bidet Seat. We're going to show you all the little steps for installation so that you can get this onto your toilet quick and easy. I'm Sam with minibidets.com, where you can get expert advice on all things bidets. Here are the tools you're going to need. You're for sure going to need a cloth or sponge of some sort for making sure water doesn't get everywhere. You may also need a screwdriver. If you need a top mounting kit, which we'll talk about, the screwdriver will be needed. A wrench or a crescent wrench of some sort. I like the flat bladed gooseneck pliers myself. And having an extra water supply hose can be a good thing. We'll talk about that later in the install. The first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna turn off the water and flush the toilet. Now that all of the water has drained, we're going to disconnect the water supply, catch the water with that rag, and then we're gonna install the T-connector to this water supply. Make sure there's a washer, a rubber washer, in the top of this when you connect it to the toilet. The seal for this T-connector is when that rubber washer pushes up against the end of the pipe from the toilet supply. You're gonna tighten this hand tight. If you feel like you can't get quite enough, you can use a wrench to get you about a quarter turn more. That's all you'd need. Now take your supply and connect it to the bottom. If your supply line is bent too much and kinked, you may need to replace that supply line. That's where those gooseneck pliers would come in handy. Next, we're gonna install the mounting plate. If your toilet is skirted and smooth here where you can't access the underside of the bolts, you're gonna need the top mounting kit. That does come with this bidet, but in this install, we're gonna use the standard mounting. We'll start by taking this template that came with the bidet, setting it on top of the toilet like this. Now set the mounting plate on top, right in the groove on the back of the template. Take the metal brackets and place them in the grooves, shaping kind of a U shape upward like this and not an N shape. Drop the bolts in through the metal brackets into the porcelain holes in your toilet. And then on either side, you're going to slide the rubber cone washer facing narrow side up with the black plastic retaining clip underneath it and the plastic nut. You're gonna tighten that down until the mounting plate is secure. Once you've got that mounting plate secure, remove the template. Now you're gonna take your bidet, line it up with the mounting plate in the back, and slide it into place. You'll hear it click when it locks into place. If the adjustment isn't exactly where you want it here, you can loosen the nuts and slide it forward, backward, side to side until you get it exactly where you want to, and then retighten those nuts on the mounting plate. Now it's time to get water from the T-connector up to the bidet. Make sure there's a rubber washer in the end of the hose and tighten it onto the T-connector. Hand tight is just fine here. In this scenario, I need to coil the hose because there's not a lot of distance from the T-connector to the seat. You're gonna line it up with the supply on the seat and tighten. Again, all we're looking for is hand tight, and that rubber washer is compressed enough to seal for water. At this point, we're gonna turn on the water and check for leaks. I'm gonna feel the different connections and make sure no water is coming out of them. If you do find a leak, turn off the water supply and flush the toilet. Disconnect where you find that leak. Check that the rubber washer is there and check for cross-threading. Reconnect it, make sure it's not cross-threaded, make sure the rubber washer is there. You should be good to go. Now we're gonna plug in the bidet and listen for it to boot up. You'll see tape on the front of the lid. You're gonna take the tape off, open the lid, and take the plastic off of the front of the seat. And to test this to make sure it's working, we're gonna have to put batteries in the remote control so that it can work. This bidet comes with a remote control and 3 AA batteries. To put those batteries in, you're going to remove the mount and remove the door on the back of the remote. Place your 3 AA batteries inside, negative side on the battery towards those springs. Slide the door back onto the back of the remote and put it back in its holder. Now we're gonna test the bidet. I'm gonna throw my hand over the skin sensor. This sensor, if nothing's covering it, makes it so that the bidet is not going to wash. You don't want a bidet to run when no one's seated on it. You don't want to flood your bathroom. So in order to test it, we have to put skin on this sensor. I'm gonna put skin on the sensor, run the posterior wash. I'm gonna throw my hand up here so I don't get sprayed with it, but you can see it's working. I'm gonna remove my hand and it'll turn off here in a second. And the bidet is working. Now your VB 6000 SE VOVO Bidet Seat is installed. If you ever need something bidet related, reach out to us at minibidets.com where we give expert advice on all things bidets.
minibidets.com where we sell mini bidets, not mini bidets.